Trying to spend less time consuming random content and more time enjoying things in real life. So I made a list of all the dope things I've been into this summer, everything from music, food, little habits, whatever, that have genuinely been making my summer better. And I wanted to share some of that stuff with you all. Kind of tried to break this up into categories or like sections, themes, whatever you want to call it, that were kind of related, because as much as I wanted to talk about a bunch of random things that have genuinely been making my summer a lot more engaging and fun and fulfilling, I didn't want it to just be like this giant, listicle, like 21 things I bought or whatever. I wanted it to maybe have a little bit more of a format. So this first kind of section is offline tech, just things that have been making me feel a little bit more intentional and enjoying technology a little bit more. I've talked about it in past episodes. I've really been loving single-use technology or any type of tech or electronics that has one singular purpose and does it really well and becomes this cool functional object, rather than having every single little thing just attached to this little phone glass screen that I'm touching all day. I like having things I can push actual buttons and whatnot. The first one, super simple, seen a resurgence with this insane lately. Wired headphones, the Apple AirPod, the Apple wired headphones, whatever you want to call them. I think one of the most affordable and actually probably underpriced items that Apple sells. It's probably the only SKU in their whole catalog that feels undervalued. It's like a tenth of the price of the expensive, like more horizontal looking AirPod Pros, because I think those are like $300. The wired headphones are like $30. If you get the kind with the USB-C that still works on your laptop, on your phone, you can plug it into all kinds of things. They never die, which is nice. I had the old generation AirPods, the small ones, and they were always dying on me. The battery life was shitty. Half the time only one ear would connect, and it was a frustrating experience. The wired headphones, I obviously used them a lot when I was in middle school and high school, and you would always catch me with the AirPods hanging out on the shirt, giving a lot of my t-shirts bacon neck, but it was worth it. Or you'd see people with them wrapped around their ear and shit like that, dangling, and having one in class and whatnot. Like, even using these, it gives me a little bit nostalgia. I remember people in class with the long sleeve hoodie, they'd lean on their arm and they'd have a little headphone in right there so they could sneak listen to like whatever. But I actually got these because I bought the nice $300 AirPod Pro earbud things, and I lost them. I have no idea where they are. I had the first generation ones for years and I never lost them, and I still have them. Right when I bought the fancy ones, somehow I lost them. But now that I have the wired headphones, so I had to buy those because I was screwed over. My other ones were always dead. I needed something when I was traveling, when I don't want to wear my giant like fucking studio headphones like this. So I've really been enjoying those. Another little cool piece of tech I've been getting back into is point and shoot cameras. I don't have one that I really like at the moment. I would love to get a cool Olympus point and shoot 35 millimeter or a Contax one, but I also don't really want to pay the expensive price. I have this more analog SLR, like 35 millimeter camera, but honestly, with the manual focus and like how intimidating it can be sometimes, I find myself when I'm shooting 35 millimeter using the point and shoot a lot, just because I don't want even though this can produce better images, I've been liking the kind of serendipity and the ease of use, I guess, on the point and shoot. It might produce like inferior images to something like this, but at least I'll use it. And I remember hearing something from someone is like, the best camera is the one you have on you, or the best camera is the one you'll use. And that's why I find some of my favorite photos I've ever taken did not come through video on this FX30, did not come on the SLR. They came on the camcorder or my phone or a point and shoot, because I actually had it when I was in interesting moments. So as an artist who works in design and video and tech, you get a little bit wrapped up in having the best stuff and being a little bit pretentious with gear and feeling like you have to be a professional about everything. But lately I've been trying a lot more to take a lot of the pressure off myself. I'm not a pro photographer, so it doesn't matter if I'm carrying around an point and shoot. I mean, fuck, when I went to Sound and Fury the last year and I shot people in the mosh pit and people on stage on that little toy receipt camera that was printing like those black and white Xerox images, one of the people, the girl Kat, who does a bunch of dope photography and was working for their media team, actually reached out to me and said like, yo, we got to get you a pass next year, this and that. And that was something I was just doing for fun. And it's because it was actually a different perspective from all the different people who were doing like the really high tech, DSLR photography. And like they have enough of that. So they want something different. So I think it's cool, like using some of this more single purpose technology and getting back into things that I genuinely love and doing it for just the love of the game usually produces the best results. And it's like, yeah, obviously doing shit you enjoy and doing it the way that you love is going to produce better art, not doing it the way that you think you should be doing it or doing stuff just because it's expensive or nice. Another thing is a mouse with the laptop. I used a laptop from like 16, 17, all the way till I was like in my early mid 20s, because I never had access to like a desktop computer. But the trackpad, man, that shit, shout out to all my trackpad warriors who learned, editing or design or any type of tech, like knowledge, creative work like that on a trackpad, because I'm sure you all have carpal tunnel just like me. And now that I have a normal PC that I always use, I am a diehard with the mouse. And I recently bought a shitty mouse when I was in Italy for my laptop at some random tech store. And it was like, it's no brand. It's terrible. I bought it because it didn't make any noise, even though I like really tactical mechanical keyboards and clicky mouses at home. I didn't want something making noise when I was on the plane or in the airport. I have been sleeping on this. I don't know why I forgot I could just buy a mouse for my laptop. Now, whenever I use my laptop, I have that little tiny mouse with me in my backpack or whatever, and I've been whipping it out at coffee shops, at the airports, anything like that. And it's such a nice experience because now I'm not sitting on the plane with my arm like in this crazy T-Rex position trying to use my MacBook that's way too big to fit on the little desk thing in front of me. And the last piece of tech that I think has been dope and something that I've really been enjoying and has been especially keeping me from doom scrolling or getting distracted when I'm working is the Brick app. Not sponsored or anything, and I honestly think I talked shit about this in a recent video. Yo, just have willpower. Who needs something that turns off their phone from using apps? Just don't. But it's easier said than done, and we all know it. So if you don't know what this is, the Brick thing, it's like actually a little square device. You put it somewhere randomly in your office, house, room, whatever. You brick your phone and you choose which apps it can't use. For me, it's basically every social media app. I just leave like messaging, email, and like my banking or whatever the fuck is the only thing that's on. Turns it into like a dumb phone. And the cool thing is you can't just turn it off, or if you try to open the apps, it won't work. You have to physically get the thing and go tap, like a tap to scan pay thing on the brick to unbrick the phone. And it's been working like tremendously, even though I just have it like a few feet behind me. That little bit of friction of I go to open the app, I'm like, oh yeah, it's bricked. I don't want to walk over there and do it. And then it gives you that more intentionality and gives you a second to think, oh yeah, I'm working right now. Do I really want to be opening Instagram and get distracted for 15 minutes on some reels or go into some rabbit hole on the explore page? No, I'm actually trying to get stuff done. It does suck that you're paying for a device or piece of tech that makes your phone do less. Like it feels kind of counterintuitive and backwards. But in the few weeks or month I've been using it, it's already probably saved me more time or like made me money or whatever you want to call it due to what the object costs by me getting less distracted and getting more done at work. So I think it's been worth it, and shout out to the people who made that thing. It's cool. There's also, I think, free alternatives though and stuff that are just maybe a little bit not as good, but it's fine. And if you just don't have this problem and you're able to not use your phone when you work or whatever, good on you. You don't need to be down here with the people who are distracted. All right, this next section I want to talk about is Food, drinks and food. Nothing is more important that in the summer than having good food to eat and having like a drink that you like to have all the time. A couple signature drinks in your roster. I almost always drink pour over coffee in the mornings. But when it gets to summertime, and especially on the days I wake up late or when the AC is not hitting right, I can't be bothered to drink a hot, warm cup of coffee. So I've been going with the cold brew with the cold foam. I think cold foam is one of the dopest inventions in the coffee world in the longest time because I'm not a big fan of super sweet drinks. I like black coffee for the most part. But getting a black cold brew on ice and just having that little bit of foam, that little head, like it's almost like a beer. Like it almost has that satisfaction. Just having that to kind of sweeten it a little bit, and it's almost like a sweetness and then followed by like the actual coffee bitter taste. And if you drink it fast, it stays like that the whole time. It starts to mix together if you lag on it, but that's been my go-to. And there's this place by my house that sometimes has the ube cold foam, which is like that taro purple stuff. That changed the game. Makes the coffee kind of look like mud and shit if you let it mix together. But man, that has been my go-to. And I've just been buying the spray cold foam like shit from Target. And even stupid little simple things like that have just been making me excited in the morning. When I am actually trying to do the opposite of getting caffeinated and getting energy and trying to unwind and have fun, my go-to drink this summer for alcohol stuff has been the tequila soda with lime, TSL, something straight up. I think as I'm getting older, I'm 28 now, my body cannot digest these dark alcohols or this beer the way that it used to. I love hazies, I love IPAs, I love all that shit. That heavy beer has been fucking me up. I never thought I'd see the day where my favorite beer is like a Coors Light or something. Because when I was in college and all that, I would shit on that stuff. That's piss, that's water, that's shitty beer. That ain't really, you got to get the blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I'll go light beer here and there if I'm out at the beach or whatever. But my go-to has been the tequila soda. I'm trying to be a little bit healthier. We're still talking about drinking alcohol, so it's not exactly the most healthy thing you can do. But it's basically just, get some good tequila, no additives, agave, whatever, soda water, and lime. Simple. It's a little more annoying if you're at someone else's house or you're at a place where you can't make the drinks with the ice and this and that. But I think it's worth it. Makes me feel a little bit better, less bloated, not hungover as much. And it goes great with this next two food items that I have been loving this summer. The category of like mariscos, I have been really into lately. I love Mexican food, but when it's really hot, you don't want like a fucking piping hot quesadilla, or you don't want birria, you don't want pozole, any of that like really hot stuff. Mariscos hits the spot of giving you that Mexican food like craving and flavor while being cold. And if you've never had this, if you don't live in California or Mexico, you probably don't have good mariscos, honestly, but it's like seafood, Mexican seafood essentially, shrimp, ceviche, oysters, aguachiles, like all that stuff. I have been loving that shit lately because it's fresh, it's cold, it feels like a little less like bogging you down. But oysters specifically, man, oysters I think are a very divisive thing. They don't really make sense. They're expensive. They're kind of not filling. They're almost like not good because you have to put all this stuff on them. But when you get the fresh oysters on ice and they have the right mixture of like the hot sauce and the little onions and this and that, and they also have like hella vitamins and protein in each one, it hits. And it's so fun to like go out with the homies and just crush some oysters. And like if you can get them on a good price, whatever. I don't know why, but that's like been one of my favorite things the last year. And this summer, me and my homies, John and Kev specifically, we're always going to get oysters and mariscos, and just nothing hits than like going into a cold AC'd restaurant and getting some beers and some oysters and some fucking good seasoning on them and all that. If you're in the SoCal area, Mariscos, Jalisco, best place to get like the shrimp tacos, ceviche, stuff like that. For oysters, I like King's Fish House in the IE. That one's not as much of like a Mexican place, but high quality oysters. El Ostion in Pomona. Let's see. Back on the coffee tip, my favorite dessert has been the affogato. What a perfect thing. When I went to Italy, it made me re-fall in love with it. I love ice cream. It's probably one of my only vices when it comes to like dessert and sweet treats. And I love coffee and coffee flavor. So getting the fucking little scoop of ice cream with an espresso on top, perfect. Vanilla ice cream is the best probably, but if you get a little crazy, the pistachio ice cream, it hits. And it starts to mix together and it's just a nice little treat. Let's see. Some music stuff. So every season I think is tied to the type of music that you're listening to. Whether it's when you're out doing activities, whether you're hanging out with friends, whether you're working, whether you're locked in your office with the headphones on. I have been really on this season of indie folk like resurgence thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's like a Western indie folk kind of thing that all these young like artists are doing. The three that I've really been liking specifically, maybe in order of like how I found them. MJ Lenderman, he's really popping off, getting really big. He has this album Manning Fireworks that's incredible. Very obscure lyrics, but they're very relatable at the same time. And it feels like these old kind of mystique based Western folklore type people that used to make this music, but it feels like some dude who just lives in like Silver Lake making it. So they figured out this weird blend of bridging the gap between these two worlds. Truman Sinclair, super fire. He has this song called Pale Horse that is probably going to be on my Spotify most played song, or the one I want to mention in a little bit. But what a fucking banger. And that's been the song when someone's like put me onto something, been throwing that out there. And there's this other guy named Duff Thompson, super sick, a little bit weirder, a little more eclectic, but still in this world of this like kind of indie folk Western revival. And I don't know what this is, but I'm liking it. I like that that's becoming closer to what's becoming popular. And it's more on the, I don't know, it feels like music genres these days, the pop music or whatever's most popular, that used to always have that sound in the 80s and 90s of like kind of pop beats and stuff like that. But now that music can kind of be anything. You see different genres take over scenes and like become really famous. Even someone like McGee, he almost fits in this world of what I was talking about. The way he blew up was crazy because I feel like that stuff didn't hit like that when I was younger in terms of mass popularity. And it's cool to see like really good musical artists get big, but not become like played out, or people still like it. I'm always stoked for artists I like to grow and get better. I don't feel like it's lame when they get more popular. I think it's stupid that people want to gatekeep stuff for themselves and keep these like they own being a fan of these smaller artists. You see a lot of that happen with like Turnstile and the hardcore scene. Sure, they have a little bit of a different sound than what people might consider traditional hardcore, but it was always that way. You could see the through line through a lot of their music. And when they got famous, they won a Grammy. That's so sick that even anyone in that world or adjacent to that world has won a Grammy. I think that's dope. And rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that brings up that entire world. And talking shit on it just because you might not like it sonically, or you think something is corny or played out because it got famous, I think is the wrong way to think about it, and ultimately a cornball move. I've also been listening to the Ramones' entire catalog. Growing up liking punk music a lot, you obviously are exposed to The Clash, Ramones, Misfits, a lot of those bigger kind of ballad, like sing-along type punk music that those bands have. But man, I was so sleeping on some of their deep cuts. Like the Ramones catalog is insane, and all their albums sound very different. My favorite of all time is probably Brain Drain, the album, and it has some of the best bangers on it. Pet Cemetery. I Believe in Miracles. I should read the next song too. I Believe in Miracles, 00 UFO, Pet Cemetery, Merry Christmas. That one's a banger. Honestly though, and they have some crazy album art. Like this Mondo Bizarro one is crazy. Like it looks like they're all looking through like funhouse mirrors. And that one has a really good song called Poison Heart on it. Other than that, the one song that has probably been the most on repeat for me is called Could You Love Me by this band Maximum Penalty. They're a hardcore band that was in like the late 80s, I believe, around the same time in New York as like Gorilla Biscuits, Youth of Today, all that kind of youth crew, straight edge stuff. But they had this more like ballad, like singing type sound in the hardcore world, almost similar to those punk bands I was mentioning. This song, Could You Love Me, is so good. And I actually found out about it through, there's another band from Baltimore nowadays called End It, and they do a cover of it. They put out a cover on Flat Spot Records, and they also have covered it every time I see them play live, the singer. And I really liked it, and I started listening to it, and I looked into the original one, and I couldn't find the album. And then I realized that Flat Spot Records, a really cool record label in that niche, put out the album from the 80s like recently from Maximum Penalty. So I was like, how come this has no views? But I don't know if it was never fully released through an actual record label, or they bought the rights, or it used to be only like a bootleg thing or live or whatever. I don't know the deep lore, but that song is a banger. So go listen to that. Go and it's cool to see an old band get some love and some play and a resurgence through a newer band like covering one of their songs. I think that's awesome. I think that's like the coolest possible thing that can happen from covering a song. You are showing how much love and appreciation you have for this other art that someone made, and you're getting to benefit from it because you covered it and it got plays and it's fun for you and whatever. And now you're also giving love to the original one, and it's getting to be rediscovered by all these newer generation. That's sick. I guess this fourth category, it would be like things I'm doing this summer that have genuinely been making my life better. And this is especially distracting me from doom scrolling. Only one or two of them involve screens, one mainly, but the sauna, I've been still doing that. It's almost like counterintuitive because it's so fucking hot lately. It's been like 95 plus every day out here in SoCal. So I get out of the sauna and you only get that relief for like a minute or two before you start feeling hot and sweaty again. I know that doing sauna is not anywhere within everyone's means. It took me a long time to be able to fully be able to do this stuff often and prioritize my health, especially growing up with less resources and less money. You're kind of prioritizing survival and eating and getting work and stuff like that. Now that I'm somewhat in a little bit more stable place, work has been slow this summer, I will say, but in the grand scheme of things, I've been trying to a little bit prioritize how I feel in my health and getting older. Sauna has been one of the most beneficial things I've ever invested in. And I get why it is so highly regarded and such a traditional and common thing in other communities, especially like in the Nordic places in Sweden and Norway and all that stuff where it originated. But not only is it good for your body, it's good for your mind. I have a very highly anxious, all over the place mind, and it's really hard for me to fully tone out and just relax my brain. The sauna kind of forces you to do that because you go in there without any stimulation really. And when you start to get really hot and sweaty, all you can kind of focus on is a couple thoughts at once and how you're feeling in that moment and that heat. And it's obviously good for your body. It's good to sweat and get out a bunch of bad shit. It's good to warm up your muscles and helps you recover if you're working out, whatever. I highly advise it. If you do it, just be careful. Don't pass out in there. Do it within your levels of experience. But I usually do 25, 30 minutes. And the days I do that, I sleep better. I feel better physically and mentally. And this kind of goes hand in hand with working out. I fucked my pinky up at one of my friend's bachelor parties, and it's been hurt so much longer than I thought. I had to pretty much stop rock climbing indefinitely. Maybe not forever, but it's not worth it. It hurts too bad to try to rock climb, and I don't want to re-injure it more and more and make it worse. So I've been having to find other ways to work out. You can see like my pinky's kind of crooked if you're on the camera, and it's still fat and crooked, and it's been like over a month. So I'm supposed to get some scans on it and stuff. But with that being said, rock climbing was the first thing that I found that made me excited about being physical and active and fit outside of like sports or skateboarding and stuff in high school. I realized I do value rock climbing and I like it and it's fun and I love the community. I think it's one of the dopest sports like to do or activities. But I also just like getting stronger and looking a little bit better and feeling active and feeling physical. I fucking sit on my ass all the time. So lately I've been working out, doing treadmill more, stuff like that because man, my shit is sedentary. Like I feel like a healthy person for the most part, but if you work from home at all, you're not walking for shit. You're not moving around at all, even compared to someone who has a somewhat mobile job. It doesn't even have to be super hard work, but they're on their feet walking around. In college, I would walk to school, walk around campus, this and that. If I don't try, I'm sitting like 90% of the day. I've been working out more, kettlebells, dumbbells, workout, like body weight stuff at home, walking on the treadmill. And I know that this is not some innovative idea, like move around, you'll feel better and blah, blah, blah. Like people tell you this all the time. I'm just saying in my experience, I know as someone who sits at a computer a lot and works from home, whether you're editing, design work, fucking you work in an office, spreadsheets, any of that, you got to move around a little bit more. And it's actually made my work a little bit better, I think, because it's cleared up my mental energy and made me feel a little stronger too. Like my back's fucked up from sitting all the time. And I think it's been helping. And it's nice to feel stronger too and look a little bit better. Other things I'm doing, I've been loving watching sports at bars and like breweries and food places, just getting together. Like I feel like I'm getting older because one of my favorite things now is just getting together with the boys and like in the middle of, like in the daytime, and going to watch like a game and get a beer or whatever, or get some food, talk shit. And like, it's not some late night crazy party thing. It's a chill kind of day. And the World Cup obviously made that a big thing. We were watching all those games. One of my friends works at a wing sports bar place, so we'd go there a lot. And I've just been loving that sense of community to get around something and have an excuse to hang out outside of like, let's just go drink or let's go out to a concert, whatever, like something very simple and earnest. And another thing I've been doing to hang out with friends is this game I've been playing still, Slay the Spire 2. Shout out that game. Super fun roguelike game. I've been playing it by myself, playing it with my friends, probably too much. I think I have 500 hours or something like that already, and I only got it like, I don't know, whenever it came out, 4 or 5 months ago, maybe less. Yeah, that's too much time, low key, but it's fun. And it's my favorite part about playing games with your friends online is you're getting to talk to your friends more. I would only talk to this group of friends maybe once a week if we weren't playing games online, like every day or every other day. So it's a good way to stay in touch and stay connected. And it's not that deep and it's not that crazy, but I think it's really important, especially like for men's like mental health. I think having people to talk to through like digital sources like that is really good in between all the times that you might hang out in real life. Some other random favorite things I've been into: buzz cuts. I mean, I kind of have like a little fade right now, but essentially a buzz cut. I just wanted to have somewhat of like a haircut. But holy shit, I've had so many different hairstyles in my life, and I've had the buzz cut a lot of times. But I think it is the move, especially for summer, especially for someone who's worried about stuff too much. Not everyone can do it. Sometimes your head looks weird. Sometimes you look better. Sometimes you look the same. I think it's worth it. I think everyone should experience the shaved head or the buzz cut at least once this summer. It's so like, it's more than just having no hair too. It is the fact that it's one less thing to worry about. If you're like me and everything has to be specific and perfect and you worry about a million things, no haircut is ever going to look as good as the feeling you get from just not having to worry about it and having that shaved head. And I feel like I fear sometimes I am making everything a little too deep or having too much of a message, but sometimes it does, I think the buzz cut is important for this summer and it will make your life better. And you know what? Hair grows back. It's beautiful. You do it once, by the time, it's August, September, and it gets a little less hot, you'll have something you can do and figure it out. This goes hand in hand with that. Shorts. I have been one of those guys who almost always wears pants my whole life outside of like working out or sports. First, I think they look better. I don't know, like I'm too white, my legs are white, whatever. But lately I've been wearing shorts more and it kind of almost has ruined it for me because now I always want to wear shorts because it's so fucking hot that putting pants on and going outside feels insane when it's like 98 degrees. This isn't a new groundbreaking idea, but shorts. One of my big ins for this summer. Buzz cuts and shorts. Like, fuck it. We're comfort maxing, prioritizing things to worry about less and comfort over style and aesthetics. And you can still add your own flavor to it and make shit cool. But yeah, another thing I've been enjoying is this guy's book, Daniel Arsham. I talked about it in one of my other podcasts. His book, I highly recommend any creative to read it. It was really good for any artist, designer, any person. Even if you're not exactly what he's catering to in this, I think it's an inspirational story. I just wrote down some random shit throughout the week that I was thinking of. I would love to hear what is one thing that you've been obsessed with this summer. Let me know in the comments. I'm always curious to know what all the people who watch or listen to this are up to, thinking, enjoying, hating, whatever. That's pretty much what I've been thinking about. So let me know what's on your mind. Thank you for watching this one. Like, subscribe, rate on the audio, all that shit. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.